I've heard it said that what you do on the first day of the new year is something that will be incorporated into your life all year long. All the more reason to spend January 1st in a park. Join me as we explore and prepare for first day hikes. I'm your host, Missy Renz, and this is the Parks Podcast. Today, we are so lucky to have Dia Hitt, who is the Chief of Education and Interpretation with South Carolina State Parks, and Rob Barrett, who is the Director of Interpretive Programming and Education with Tennessee State Parks. They both work as interpretive rangers and managers to oversee educational programming throughout their respective parks. And on behalf of America's state parks, Rob has been the coordinator for first day hikes for the last couple of years, and he's passing the torch to Dia this year. Rob and Dia, thank you so much for being on the Parks Podcast.
Thank
Thank
you.
you,
We're really
Misty.
happy to be here.
So we start every episode typically talking about park stats, but what I'm going to do is change it, and I want to talk about first day hike stats. First Day Hikes was started in 1992 in Massachusetts and then adopted nationally in 2012. It was created to celebrate going outside, getting exercise, and experiencing nature, which I think we all need at the end of a holiday. Last year, there were 884 parks that participated. 1,175 hikes were held. There were 60,048 participants, and 117,104 miles were hiked on January 1st, 2023. What a great way to start the year.
Definitely. And it's nice to see the numbers growing year over year and rebounding in this new world we're living in. People are coming back to parks, and sometimes for the first time. First day hikes is a great way to really start the year off on the right foot, as I like to say.
So, Rob, maybe you could tell us a little bit about how First Day Hikes began back in 1992.
Well, I was still pretty young, so I don't have any firsthand accounts. But from what I understand is Massachusetts was looking for a way to engage visitors and to inspire activity. And so they hosted a New Year's Day hike, and they got some great response. And in parks, we like to honor, as my friend Kelly in Arkansas says, we like to honor other people's programs. And so it got picked up and spread. And sometime along the path, it kind of became this thing that states took on the role of being the primary national coordinator and then passed the baton. So I got it from Ellen Graham in Georgia, and now I'm passing it off to Dia. So it's a really just neat way to inspire people to get out and visit a park at a lot of time when parks don't have a ton of visitors.
And how have you seen it grown, Dia, over the past 20 years?
So, what I've really noticed is that it's become a tradition amongst the families. You have kids who did it when they were kids, and now they're taking their own kids to a park. And so it's really, and they really kind of like, okay, it's first day hike day. And we have some in South Carolina who do 5 parks in a day. And I don't know how they do that many miles in one day, but they do. And it's just the joy that it brings, the people who have so much fun, and then the tradition of passing it down to your kids. That's what we want in parks. We want them to come back and be part of our family.
One thing I've noticed too is that while it's run by America's state parks, I see a lot of national parks and local parks that really have adopted it so that people can go to their state parks, but it seems like it's really getting kind of legs of its own and taking place anywhere there's outdoor space.
Yeah, it really is. And what we're also seeing is that, people are reaching out to us going, hey, how do we participate? What do we do? How do we get involved? And I'm like, just let me know you want to be.
Yeah, and that's kind of been the interesting thing about how do we support it as coordinators across the nation is 51 parks and the territories of the US enough to wrangle, or do we keep broadening and widening it? So we really support anybody in joining in and love it when local park systems and national park systems do. But all the information on the webpage right now for America's state parks is focused to your local state park. So it's been fun to watch it grow and then also manage that.
And Rob, can you tell us a little bit about America's State Parks? We've mentioned it several times, but what is that organization?
So it's part of the National Association of State Park Directors, and it is really their forward facing programmatic side. So that is a professional organization for all the people across the nation who are leading state park systems. And they get together, they exchange best practices, they grow ideas, they support each other, they create a collective voice for state parks so that we ourselves as organizations can better understand how we fit into the mosaic of parks throughout the country. But then also so that we can communicate to our leaders and our stakeholders how we fit and what services we provide. So America's state parks have really become the front facing side of that, and they have two great program offerings that they lead nationally. One of them is America's First Day Hikes. And then, of course, the other one is Girl Scouts Love State Parks. So that's their front facing thing. They do a lot of philanthropic work and work to help elevate state park systems across the country.
And I think, I mean, obviously, I love parks. I wouldn't host a
Mm.
podcast about parks if I didn't. But I think there's so many benefits that parks give to us. And I would really love to hear what both of you all think about that. So, maybe Dia, what are some of the benefits of being in a park?
Well, so there's several. I mean, there's physical, mental, and emotional benefits, but honestly, I have never met anybody who's come to a park who hasn't just gone, "Oh God, I'm so much more relaxed than when I walked in the door." We all run 24/7. I mean, we are connected by our computers and our phones and our families, and we love them all. We all need it. But the ability to just go and listen to the wind in the trees, the ability to take a breath really does help reduce our stress. It really reduces like any emotional distress you might be in. The other thing, of course, and we've all heard it. You need to exercise more. You need to be outside more. Sometimes that's hard, but at a park you can do it all. You can walk around, you can just take in the sun. So, I mean, it's really hard not to find a benefit to go to a park.
Yeah, Rob, what about you? What do you think it is?
I mean, of course, it's all of those things that Dia just said, and it's also the place where like memories and tradition are born for a lot of people. And but also in recognizing all the people who receive the benefits of their local state park or state parks across the nation, I think it's important to remember the people who don't yet culturally associate with parks or who don't understand that these spaces are for them and that they're safe and welcomed in these spaces. And that's what I like about First Day Hikes is all those benefits that Dia talked about. This program is really focused on inviting people who may have never been to a park before into a park so that they can begin to take advantage of all of those things. So I'm not sure if that's quite the answer to your
Yeah.
question, but
Yeah.
Dia's response really kind of triggered that in me and helps me to remember who these hikes are for. It's funny because at some time we had parks trying to outdo each other with like having the earliest hike or having the longest hike. And it's like, well, this is a reminder. It's after New Year's. Some people have been partying. So you might get better response if you do your hike at 1 p.m. instead of, 7:30 a.m. And if you make it short, people might feel more comfortable in coming.
Totally.
So yeah, it's been fun to watch the program evolve in that way.
Yeah, I love the connection that's made both kind of with
Mhm.
nature and with yourself. And I feel like when I'm in parks, I don't know, there's this like camaraderie, whether you know the person or not, you're going to get a high. I always end up with conversations. I'm always following somebody new on Instagram because of,
Mhm.
someone I've met at the park. It's they're pretty special. And I'm reading this book right now called The Nature Fix about the
Mhm.
healing effects of nature, and it just inspires me to be out in it more. Um, okay, let's start talking about first day hikes.
Okay.
What kind of programs are offered and like what can people expect that when they go to a park? There's a million things going on, obviously, but just maybe a little bit of variety of things that you guys have picked up on that you've heard of that are happening at parks. Maybe Rob, we'll start with you.
Yeah. So I think you hit the nail on the head. It's going to be hard to say, hey, this is what is happening in this state. So we have states that offer pet friendly hikes. We have states that offer lantern led hikes. Those are some of the ones that do it right at midnight or after midnight. We have states that also realize that not everybody's up for a hike. Maybe they're level of comfort or physical accessibility won't allow them to participate in a hike. So a lot of states do alternative functions. They'll do a first day picnic, or even some more of our southerly states, they may do a first day swim or something along those lines. So there's really a great variety. It's hard to nail them down into one thing. I've also seen kind of introductions to parks. And then one of the most fun first day hikes that I got to participate in, we took a little nature trail that was a quarter mile, and we put a table just far enough away that you could see the next table. And we had a ranger at each thing talking about a topic of the park. So families came and visitors came, and they walked from table to table learning about the park. That's because the park I was working at the time had about 250 people show up to one and had one ranger scheduled.
Wow.
Fortunately, I was there on my day off and just kind of jumped in and helped out. But then the next year, we decided we need to manage the capacity a little bit better. But that worked out really well and was just a lot of fun to have these people kind of cycle through this informal interpretive experience and ask the questions they wanted to when they got to the table.
Dia, what do you think people can expect and to see?
So Rob captured a lot of them, but there's also we're a whole nation, so some of these places are going to be full of snow. There's skiing, there's cross country skiing, there's horseback riding, there's polar plunges. So there's a little bit of everything for everyone, and not all of it is hard and difficult or up steep inclines, or
Mhm.
some of it is I have an ADA walk out to a waterfall that it's you can take anybody out there who wants to go. It doesn't matter physical ability or comfort level, you can go. So there is something for everybody. There's including ones that I have one that is honestly, you scared of the woods? Come out and I'll show you why not. So we know that some people aren't comfortable in the dirt and the bugs. So we've created a hike for that.
I would just completely agree with you. And then I will say, if you think it's going to be too cold, last year at Chemak Bay State Park in Homer, Alaska, they had more than 50 people show up to go skiing and snowshoeing. So if you think it's too cold, just think about those people in Alaska still coming out for a first day hike.
Right, right.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so I did a little research just as well on off of your website just to see some, and I want to call out a few. Like in Mayberry State Park in Michigan, they have Friends of Mayberry that are hosting hikes. So a lot of these parks utilize their volunteer programs, and I do after I go through this list, I do want to talk a little bit about the volunteer programs that take place at parks. But I love that Dinosaur State Park in Connecticut is using first day hikes to open a new trail. So it's like you could be one of the first group of people to ever hike on a trail, which I think is fascinating. Great Salt Lake State Park is doing bird watching. And I romanticize this one because I'd like to be there for Kiwi State Scenic Shoreline in Hawaii, who's doing a sunrise hike, which I think would be amazing, very different from your Alaska snowshoe.
Mhm.
You guys are South Carolina and Tennessee based. I'd love to hear a little bit about what you're doing in those areas. So Dia, what are you guys doing in South Carolina?
So we actually have a couple of 5Ks that are being done. We have some polar plunges being done. And a lot of our polar plunges are actually with our friends group. They're the crazy people who want to get in the cold water. But we also have the ADA hike that I just mentioned that'll take you to some waterfalls. And that's at a historic battlefield. So you not only get the history, but you get the beauty of the waterfall. So there's a lot of different options. This year I have about 45 out of my 47 state parks doing something. And in South Carolina, the beauty is you can get to anywhere in the state within 2 hours. So you can hit a lot of them.
It's nice. That's nice. Rob, what about in Tennessee?
There's a great variety from short to long, evening to lantern lit. And I think one of the, again, amazing things about us is every location in Tennessee will have a first day hike experience. So you can go to any one of our 57 state parks and do a first day hike. Definitely some of the more exciting ones are up on the Balds at Roan Mountain and out on the kind of the overwintering places for some birds. Reelfoot Lake has amazing eagle viewing. And then also the ones tied around our historic homes and historic sites where they theme them and have food and living history interpreters talking about what New Year's may have been like at the period of the location. And then finally, for me personally, I'm looking for that kind of simple, pure, nostalgic hike experience where it's just a ranger having a discussion with the visitors as they walk along a trail. And so the great variety of experiences is what I like to see.
I love this. I wish I could come and just spend. I wish New Year's Day was a lot longer so I could just go park to park to park to park around the country. But but one of the things that's striking me is that we are talking a lot about the programs that are offered that are led, but sometimes there's people who don't want to do it in
Mhm.
a group activity or don't want that for any reason. You can still go to the park and enjoy the park without participating in the program and just soak up the energy of first day hikes.
Yes. Most definitely.
Mhm.
In fact, I'm one of those people. I'm not one who's going to be joining any of the hikes. I'm going to come and I'm going to watch and enjoy like how excited everybody is, and then I'm going to go on the hike that they're not going on.
Yeah, I'll be on that hike too in Virginia. Um, okay, this is a day where no matter your skill level, there's something you can enjoy. I know we've
Mhm.
talked a little bit about great for first timers, great for those who've never experienced the park. But if you are an avid park goer, if you're avid whatever activity you like, this is still a great day to be at the park.
100%. I think the trick of it is you kind of mentioned something about the northern states is you just want to make sure to check your state park system. Some of them have winter hours depending on how far north they are, and just be aware of what's going on. So it's always great to go and check out the park's website, make sure you understand what trails are open and what trails are closed, because especially in the winter months, it can be a little bit more slippery or icy. So I don't want to detract anybody from going, but it's really a neat experience and time to get out to see a park when a lot of people aren't going to them because it's cold, because the ground may be a little bit more slippery, but there's these magic moments in that time, and the air smells different and it feels different. And you get to see trees, you get to see the bones of the trees, and really just experience a new view of the park.
So let's continue talking about how people plan a trip to the park. Yeah, how can people find out what's happening in their area?
So honestly, the best place to start is the National State Directors site. Every state is going to have a link that'll show you all the hikes that are happening in their state. But the other thing is, if you are going to a park and you're interested in, say, Poinsett State Park in South Carolina, go to their webpage. Their webpage is going to give you all of their hours, any advisories that are out right now. It's going to tell you this is what you can do at our park. This is what you need to know if you want to go fishing. This is what you need to know if you want to go hiking. We try very hard on our websites to give you the bare bones, the basics. And then after you've checked that out, if you still have questions, give us a call. We want to talk to you. We want your visit to be a success. We want you to come and have fun. And we're happy to talk to you and answer any questions you might have. But
And
start with the website.
and Dia, I'll post the website on theparkspodcast.com and our socials, but can you go ahead and tell people what that website is?
Yeah, so it's stateparks.org/special program/first day hikes. That's where all of the hikes will be listed for every state that's participating this year.
Great. And Rob, are all of them free?
So we recommend that all states do them for free. Some states have a admission fee, and so the hike is free with admission, but I believe all of them are free. I just can't guarantee that. One might not have a materials fee if there's a craft involved, or that you might still have to pay state park admission. We don't have state park admission in Tennessee, so all of our hikes are free. But we also use it as an opportunity for people to show their support of state parks and give them a little opportunity to donate. And I know several states do that as well.
Yeah, and the other thing I noticed on when I was looking is that like this is a busy time of year and I think people are overscheduled, but it is not too early to start thinking about it because I noticed some like Micho State Park in Pennsylvania or several of the Oregon state parks, they have activities that you do need to make reservations for. And so I think thinking about what you want to do and starting to go to the stateparks.org website and learning about opportunities is probably a good idea to get that information.
Well, and that circles back to a great point you brought up earlier. We want to make sure everybody has a great experience. So it's not that we want to turn people away, but we understand our capacity to support visitor experience. And so it may be based on the number of staff available. It may be based on how wide the trail is. And that's why some parks have pre-registration to make sure that you have that great experience. And
Yeah.
then, like Dia said, there's another one nearby if there is a cap on the one you're interested in going to. But a lot of them are just like, we're doing this hike and they have hundreds of people show up and it's a really fun experience.
Yeah, that is neat.
The other thing that you talked about with preparing to go, I think it's like Dia said, it's important to go to the website, make sure you're bundled up, you have water, closed-toed shoes, all of those things, and then maybe a hiking stick if you know that you need that or you want a little bit of extra balance.
And if you are going hiking and this park does ask for you to do a hike plan, like tell us where you're going, please do that so that, if something does go wrong, we can come find you and come help you. We don't expect that to ever happen, but it does give us a little bit of comfort to know that, hey, Joe's told us that this is where he's going to be. And if the park closes and he's not back, we can go look for Joe.
Yeah, can you walk us through that? That's amazing. I didn't realize there were parks that do that. I have a person, of my brother, that I use as my check-in, but can you walk through what that is?
Yeah, so some parks, like in the South Carolina mountains, if you're going to go out on one of our hikes, say one of the 2 to 3 mile hikes, which is not for everybody and not everybody wants to do that. But if you are one of those people, at the trailhead, there'll be cards that say, I'm going on this hike. This is how long I expect to be. This is my contact information. So that at the end of the day, if we still have a car in the parking lot, we'll go check the hiking area and see if somebody's put in a card for the day. And then if we notice that, okay, maybe we need to go check the trail and see if he's still out on the trail or she is still out on the trail. And it's just kind of it's a way of communicating with us if you didn't see us before you started your hike.
As a solo hiker, that makes me feel so good that you do that. I love that.
Well, and Missy, you also brought up a good point. Even if your location doesn't do that, it's always great to let somebody know where you are. Tell a friend, tell a family member, hey, I'm going for a hike. I plan on being back by 3 o'clock. If you don't hear from me by 4, maybe call and let the park know. It's our job to support our visitors, so we're happy to do that.
I do get lots of questions about safety, so you're making me think we need to have an episode on safety in the parks.
Mhm.
That would be really interesting. Dia, any other recommendations that you have for planning a trip to the park for New Year's Day?
I would say always plan more water than you think. I see frequently single use 8-ounce bottles of water. I can tell you I would go through that in half an hour. So plan more water than you think you're going to need. Basically, what we talked about communicating it to somebody else so that they know what your plan is. Most of the first day hikes, you're going to be with somebody who's very experienced. You really could just show up, make sure you're dressed for the weather, make sure you're wearing comfortable clothing. And then Rob pointed out closed-toed shoes. I personally hate shoes. I hate them with a passion, but I don't ever go into a park with flip-flops.
Yeah, I even think if you can, something structured, but sometimes people will say to me they don't know how to hike. And I try to make it as simple as possible to say it's going for a walk in the woods or on the beach or something like that. And I think as long as you have water and depending on where you are in the country, I think look at the weather forecast and anticipate what's going to happen. I think all of us think layers is probably the way to go in most situations so that you can adjust. But if you are new to this, I think it's okay to call the park. I think the rangers are so kind and want people to be in their parks that they'll help you and they'll teach you how to do it.
And some parks actually have first timers classes.
Mhm.
We have classes that say, hey, you've never gone hiking before, come with us. And we'll go over your gear. We'll go over what you should wear. We'll go over. So First day hikes is a great introduction. It's definitely the way to get started if you've never done this before. But the other thing is don't let it be the only time you do it. Come see us again. Come take classes with us. We want you to start using your parks regularly.
And then I would say this is a little trick that I do sometimes. I tend to over prepare. Most people are driving to their local state park. So you can leave stuff in your car, but if you get out and you look around and everybody has a hiking stick and a parka and a backpack, well, if you have those things in your car, you can get them out. But if you get there and nobody has those things, you can be like, "Oh, okay. Now I'm good with just what I got."
Oh, that's a
So,
great idea.
yeah.
This is a good time to copy others.
Yes, yeah.
I also think that first day hikes, we've talked about this a lot that in this conversation that it's great for first timers, but also it's great for every level,
Mhm.
every age group. I think that I most parks I have been to truly have something for everyone. Do
Yeah,
you
they
guys
really
agree?
do. You can go to an easy hike that's very like level and flat and you don't need any special gear, or you can go. I have a interpreter who likes to do sunrise hikes up a mountain in the dark, and you start at 3:30 in the morning and you hike all the way up so that you can get up to see the sunrise. So there is something for everybody.
That's great. Any other tips we need to talk about in planning? I agree that the website, go to the website because
Mhm.
there's so much on it. And I think each state has something unique that I really like that it kind of tells the personality of the park. And every park has a really fun story, which if you have listened to other episodes here, that's kind of what we go for is what's the unique story? Why is this park special? So I think go to your website, learn about the parks. This is a great time. A lot of people are traveling during the holidays. So check out a park in another state if you're there or if you're driving home from grandma's house that day. I think it's a great pit stop to get the kids moving rather than just a rest area. So go visit your parks. We end each episode with a speed round of questions, and so I'd like to ping pong back and forth between you two to get just what comes to mind. So Dia, we'll start with you. What is your earliest park memory?
So my earliest park memory was an inner city park called Lincoln Park in Kansas City, Missouri. And my mom would take me there Sunday mornings and we would spend the entire day. I would climb trees, we'd have picnics, I'd jump in mud puddles. It was a Sunday tradition every day until we moved to a new state. So Lincoln Park is always going to have a spot in my heart.
Rob, what is your earliest park memory?
So that is a really hard question to answer. I know it was somewhere in Northern Virginia, and I have snippets of memories being in one of those backpacks that you carry kids in. And I can definitely remember the color and texture of the backpack and then like seeing the trail and smelling the trees. Fortunately for me, park use was such a ubiquitous thing of my childhood. When we went on vacation, we went to parks. When we had the weekend, we were in parks. So I really had this time where, without my parents knowing they were teaching me how to be a park user, and without me knowing that I was being taught, I was taught that these spaces are for you and here's how you use them. And that's what I love about being an interpreter is now I get to do that and support that for so many people. I get to say, welcome to this space. It's for you, and here's how you use it. And that's what First Day Hikes is all about. So hopefully there's some little kid out there in a backpack on New Year's Day having these fragmentary early memories and they grow up to work in parks.
Dia, what made you love the parks?
So I was an inner city kid, so my world was concrete, skyscrapers, and dirt. And so what I loved about parks was it was a whole different world. Everything smelled weird, the trees had texture, like things fell out of trees. I was just like, what is this thing? What is this place? And that made me fall in love with parks.
Rob, what made you love the parks?
I think subconsciously, the thing that I loved about parks is being a kid with ADHD. Being in nature is a place where that skill set is rewarded because you're the first to see the bird. You're the first to notice the wind direction change. All of those sensory moments where it can be overwhelming when you have to be focused, you can kind of get rewarded for as you explore nature. And so I really loved that minute.
Dia, what is your favorite thing about South Carolina state parks?
The diversity. I can go from the mountains to the coast and all in one spot in like a heartbeat. So if I wake up and I want to see a sunrise in a mountain, I can get up there and then next day I could literally go listen to the sound of the ocean.
Rob, what is your favorite thing about Tennessee state parks?
The moment when I feel connected to the resource and I realize that I'm part of this greater tapestry. And I find that in various ways at various sites, but it's kind of, I just know it when it hits.
Dia, what is your favorite thing to do at South Carolina state parks?
So this is going to sound a little weird, but I find the water feature at every park. I find the sound of water either tumbling or roaring, or there is always somewhere that there's a water source or a water resource that I find.
I don't think that's weird at all. I love that.
Mhm.
Rob, what is your favorite thing to do at Tennessee state parks?
I'm a simple person. I want to hike, put me out on a trail, let me get a mile away from somebody else and just enjoy nature.
Dia, what park have you yet to visit that is on your bucket list, and why is it on your bucket list?
So I'll be honest, I haven't been to very many of the national parks. And so I really want to go out to Yellowstone because I used to work with wolves and I want to go out in the wintertime when the wolves are out.
Rob, what park have you yet to visit, but it's on your bucket list, and why?
All of them I haven't been to. I have to choose one. That's going to be really hard. So I'm going to choose three.
Okay.
I know I'm a cheater, Dia. Dry Tortugas, Denali, and Glacier.
And Denali's beautiful.
You'll have to tell me all about it.
Dia, what are three must haves you pack for a park visit?
Water, water, and water. But also, I tend to pack things I can pull on and pull off because I get cold and hot really fast. And so, and then of course, I need the backpack to do that with.
Rob, what are three must haves you pack for the park visit?
Okay, so of course there's all the safety stuff. So I'll say the safety bag to encapsulate all of that. But then sturdy shoes and a hiking stick.
Dia, what is your favorite campfire activity?
So I'm a ghost story girl. I like to hear the local legends and the cultural legends at every area. I have a habit of collecting cultural tales. And so the more you can tell me about the culture and the ghost stories of your region, the happier I am.
Rob, what is your favorite campfire activity?
Cooking foods on an open fire, you wouldn't expect somebody to cook on an open fire. So deep frying donuts on an open fire, or making a flatbread with a marinated chicken and a pesto sauce, something fun like that.
Dia, tent, camper, or cabin?
I'm actually a hammock. I'm a hammock camper.
Rob, tent, camper, or cabin?
I'd like to say tent, but the older I get, I think it's cabin.
Dia, hiking with or without trekking poles?
So I'm not as much of a hiker as Rob, but I would say without.
Rob, hiking with or without trekking poles?
So I collect hiking stick medallions, and the little nails don't go into the trekking poles. So always with a hiking stick.
Dia, what's your favorite trail snack?
I usually take nuts because I'm always low on protein, so I want more protein.
Rob, what's your favorite trail snack?
A nice trail mix with nuts and dried fruit, and maybe a piece of chocolate here and there.
Dia, what has been your favorite animal sighting?
Ooh, that one's hard. I think it's probably the time that I was in Alaska and I was hiking and I was in grizzly area and I could see the pathways that they were walking and I was like, "Oh, okay, no biggie." And I came around the corner and there was one crossing from one side of the pathway to the other and we both kind of just stopped and looked at each other and went, "What are you doing here?" And I backed up and he backed up and then we both kind of agreed to go the other way and I went one way and he went the other and I was like, "Oh, thank goodness."
Rob, what has been your favorite animal sighting?
Kind of a fun story, and it actually deals with a deep winter hike. I was going to see whooping cranes fly over a state park in Florida, and they didn't come because they just weren't feeling it that morning. And turned and was talking to this guy. Turned out to be the author John Yao of The Armchair Birder, and he was there to experience the whooping cranes. And I was able to tell him a place where he could go see a batch that was migrating on their own somewhere else. And so it was just that fun moment. You never know who you're going to meet in a park.
Totally. Dia, what is your favorite sound in the park?
When you're in a clearing and there's absolutely no other sound and all you can hear is the wind in the trees.
Rob, what is your favorite sound in the park?
The call of a hawk as it captures its prey.
Dia, what is the greatest gift that the parks give to us?
Tradition and family and peace.
Rob, what is the greatest gift that the parks give to us?
Protection of things that would otherwise be lost.
Dia and Rob, thank you so much for joining us on this episode of the Parks Podcast. I love learning about all of these amazing activities and growing my to-do list of things and parks to visit. Congratulations and best of luck for an amazing first day hike.
Thank you so much, Missy.
Thank you. It's been fun.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Parks Podcast. Until next time, we'll see you in the parks. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed today's episode, please be sure to like and share on your favorite podcast platform. Music for the Parks Podcast is written, performed, and produced by Porter Hardy. For more information, please follow us on Instagram at The Parks Podcast or visit our website at theparkspodcast.com.